Hey, yo! Dream Warriors.
Hello. Deep dive.
Deep dive into Sylvester Stallone. It's Peter. I'm sitting down here with Mark.
Hello.
And this is something new, right? Like, are we? Did you want to?
This became organic from last show where
Yeah.
we just kind of went into the Stanley thing, and we're just going to focus on people, deep dive people, career.
We like talking about
Novelty
creative
tidbits.
people because you and I are both creative individuals,
Mm-hmm.
and we said, well, let's let's harness our obsession a little bit more, and we can't only go on these long sessions on content. We can also go on long sessions on creators.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take advantage of that. So let's just hit that music. We're going to jump to it.
Is there a number?
And
Or
we're
we
going to
don't-
rock and roll. Well, we're going to get to that real quick after the quick
After
break.
the intro.
Yeah. Okay. So we're back, and yeah, Mark already addressed something very
Spoilers.
important. Yeah. So this is almost like creator corner, creator spotlight. But did you have any ideas or names what to call this?
No.
Like, how do we brain this? We
don't know.
have to tag this because this is all.
Creator corner.
I like the idea because why is a creator in a corner? Why like what or is a
They have to write their way out of a corner.
or is like a corner something commonly associated with a highlight or a spotlight?
I think basically it was just alliteration that you just did. I don't think there's anything more to it.
Just
than
a
that.
corner.
Yeah.
But it has to be like a profession, like plumber's corner, right? Or does that like drywall guy corner,
I don't know.
produce dude
I think
corner,
we're already off track.
butcher corner,
We're already boom. way off
creator
track.
corner, yeah. But
Here we
no,
go.
so we did for Dream Warriors episode 103. We did Stanley, and yeah, I think we had a good exchange, a little bit of
yeah.
a duel because you and I are not 100% on how we read the career of Stan Lee, but we both honor his contributions and more or less what people did with him more than what he did himself. Like he is cult of personality, my opinion. But look, real quick, anyone just joining us, this is Peter, aka Pad. You can find me at akapad.com, akapad13 Instagram and Facebook, akapad on Twitter and Snapchat, akapad69 on Xbox Live for anybody that wants to add me so we can play some Halo, because I only play Halo. I don't really play any other
Played
video game.
The first Halo.
No, it's Halo 5 I play.
I don't know.
Multiplayer.
Never played.
Yeah.
it. Never
I don't know. I don't know. Well, are you into any games? I don't know
No,
if you're
I don't
into.
have
You're
anything.
not into any games.
No.
That might help. That might help with some of your. I don't want to say like therapy, but it might help with some of your mind because your mind does wander. Like
Right. Oh, yeah.
like I know you, like even sometimes when we're text messaging, like there's everything's like a tangent of itself, and it's just like whoa, like unfocused. I don't know like what to pick here. It's almost hard to respond sometimes
Right.
because there's so much there, and I'm like holy crap.
Spitballing.
Yeah, but I would think video games sometimes they help you narrow your focus, and they help it's the same idea to people who have dyslexia or something similar. They're forced to narrow their focus, and when they focus, they do more. Okay, because they have to focus to do things in a particular way to just to move forward. So anyway, but yeah, so we had this awesome Stan Lee conversation, and it was kind of like a little bit of a revelation of like let's just get into creators. We have Creed coming out. We got to do Stallone.
Wednesday.
Yeah, and so this episode, it might just be Dream Warriors 105, but we'll come up with a name for it,
Right.
so people know what these are. So even in the headline and the way it comes in our RSS feed, it will be the branded sub-series within Dream Warriors with the creator name, or it might be the creator name with the branded. It'll be structured a certain way so that you can easily see that these are new, and you got Pete and Mark going crazy on people that we, because we're already talking about. There's like 30 other people.
Right.
Like
We have
we're
a huge list.
Yeah, like
But that's good though. I mean, I feel that again. My big thing is I'd rather have a swing and a miss. Like I think my consistency on the show is that I love like the spectacular failures that may happen because I'm like, it's that guy's thing. Like, did you see that?
Yeah.
Did you see how earnest?
Which is kind of like, yeah. And some of your take is so because even today, it's like we always seem to argue about like Michael Bay, and I almost like attack the merit of the criticism rather than what the criticism actually is. And I do believe when it comes to Michael Bay, Brett Ratner, Schneider, those three guys, they never get attacked on intent. They never get attacked on completed like people attack what they believe those filmmakers are rather than the work that's in front of them. And I will put Paul Anderson, the Resident Evil Paul Anderson.
Paul W.S. Anderson.
Yeah, the W.S. Yeah, I will put him in that category also. And if you put those like four filmmakers together, again, numbers that are ungodly. Like there's few people that even come close to having the box office draw and success that those guys had. And look, I get it. Movies have $1 million marketing campaigns. They have all of this stuff, but you can't trick that many consumers into rewatching product, purchasing a product more than one time, and even showing up initially at the box office. Because we always see great campaigns, and I will say the new Tomb Raider. I thought that was a perfect setup to to get excited for that movie. Great trailer, great posters, great logo, everything. No one cared. So like we see great campaigns fail all the time. So sometimes when films pick up and resonate, and I do believe like Sly Stallone definitely falls into this category where we criticize the artist but not the work, and it's not even the artist within the context of art. We criticize Stallone in his personal life, and somehow his personal life bleeds into Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. And now it's the worst movie ever. It's like, no, not really. It's actually a pretty solid comedy. It's a stupid, silly, decent comedy. It's not, and we saw the same thing happen with Tom Cruise. Like we can't, we for some reason Tom Cruise will never stop jumping on Oprah's couch.
Right. There's memes of that daily.
Yeah, and he's forever a Scientologist, and it's like, okay, but
the fun, like the weird loop laugh where him like
slapping
his hands. That's back.
Yeah, and it's almost like, I want to talk about the movie. Like I want to talk about The Mummy, and
I don't.
But the thing is, but I also want to pinpoint how, why, and where did that movie fail?
Everywhere.
Well, you can't say that.
It failed in every country.
No, it made a lot of money. That movie made enough to spawn the entire Dark Universe.
That's canceled.
Well, it's canceled for different reasons. We don't even know the real reason why it's canceled. But anyway, no. But the point, but the point though that I'm getting at though is like you can't just say like, oh, it fails on every level. Like I don't know how that is a criticism. That's not like a thoughtful criticism. And for Dream Warriors, that's what we're committed to. We're committed to long form conversations with plenty of these movies. And I think what we're about to embark on, this deep dive into Sly Stallone, I think we're about to probably set up a lot of work for ourselves.
Yeah, that's good. Keep moving forward. Because keep moving forward.
Yeah, because there's a lot of movies here that I do want to watch again, that I want to watch for the first time, that I want to watch within the context that we're about to lay out. Meaning his moment, because we were able to map out. We'll say like, how do you want to define like highlights or segments of his career?
Yeah, I think so. The main and the lore. Where you start, because you have early career. I pretty much have like a giant Rocky 1 block, because to me that's my ultimate, one of my favorite scripts, one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah. I just think that it's kind of a strange movie when you watch it, because there's certain things that are conflict, and then there's no antagonist necessarily. Like it's kind of interesting. Yeah. He doesn't lose Adrian, which should that happens in most movies. Like any movie with like that, like I can't stand by and see you do this, and then they leave, and then they show back up.
Yeah,
he never loses her.
No,
so there's lots of things there. But anyway, so we need to go. So the whole genesis is that everyone thinks that he never acted before. I think that's the big thing that we've gotten into.
Yeah, so Mark and I were kind of going back and forth with some of the mythology. So like the Sylvester Stallone story starts in 1969, and it's reborn in 1976 when Rocky came out. Now until that time, like that's a lot of years. Okay, so from 69 to 76, Stallone was a worker. He was in a lot of movies where he was an extra. He was in other movies that he appeared in, and he was actually making his way through the industry and getting paid to write screenplays, getting the attention for screenplays, already early becoming a actor writer. He was I would say he was almost like the model of what later became some of these production houses like Plane B that were like like run by Brad Pitt, to where the actor develops his own production studio within like Paramount Pictures, and then you're fed scripts and you develop scripts, and then you take what you like, and then based on what you think you should do as an actor, some of that script gets reworked. So this is a tale like as old as time. Okay, like a great example would be an evolution of the WWZ script with Brad Pitt, where like that was one script, and the Brad Pitt comes on and locks up the financing because you're Brad Pitt. Now the script changes, and this goes on and on. Like Humphrey Bogart, Elizabeth Taylor, they had writers that they favored that would write better roles and better dialogue for their characters, and some of it was the capabilities of the actors. But this is no different than when you go on location and you can only shoot in the desert. So most of your Star Wars movie is in the desert. Like it's not much in the stars for New Hope. And because filmmaking is, you have two things. You have resources and then you have time. And there's a collision of the two. And Stallone, like I don't know, like even now, when you and I were like green rooming this, we were surprised to how prolific of a writer Sly Stallone is. I mean, like I always gave him credit, but it's just funny how like the filmmaking community and the cinephile community takes away his credit to create. They associate him with a retard almost.
Right.
Okay. But yeah, so look,
that's it's the brisk commercial.
Yeah.
Like,
so real quick though, so some of the movies he was in, No Place to Hide, 73, The Lords of Flatbush, where he wrote his own dialogue. Okay, and then 1975 he was literally in about 5 movies. Okay, with Death Race 2000, Main Dingo, Farewell My Lovely, Death Race 2000, the Roger Corman movie, which is actually on Netflix. There's the W.S. Anderson remake, sequel. The third one to that, starring Danny Glover's there, and then the updated Death Race is on Netflix, which is I think they're both amazing, but whatever. Oh, so Stallone, part of the Stallone mythology is that he's poor. He's got to sell his dog. He's eating tuna out of a can.
Right, selling his dog,
stealing bananas
because he can't afford to feed the dog.
Right,
that was the thing. He had $128. He made $36 a week as an usher. So there's lots of stuff there that may or may not line up. I'm not sure.
I think a lot of it is true. I just think it's he knew how to sell his own story when he got traction, and he did become, because Mark and I start part of our study for this, we were watching Stallone's appearance on Oprah,
right? And
even then he's selling his story. Back then he was selling his tabloid life. He was selling dating Vanna White, being connected to Vanna White, and they're like, "Oh, you?" And he's like, "No." Like he is a master of the media, like 100%. He knew how to tell a story. So there's no way to know how true some of the pre-Rocky lore is for Stallone, but I do feel like it's in contention to line up, especially going into Rocky. You literally were in about 7 movies. Like between 76 and 75, you're in about 7 movies, and then you get Rocky, and you're offered $250,000 for the script. $250,000. So there
Yeah,
had to been
your
some.
argument is that they're not going to give. They would give him $3,000. They would give some if he's a schmo with a
Yeah.
spec script,
Right.
and like here they wouldn't be giving him
He was-
$250,000.
he was in
well,
the-
they were paying. Was it that they were paying him more? There's a couple of things here. There's bad information here in a way because it's like $250,000. I've seen 350.
Yeah.
Then he said, "No, I'll take a cut." So we don't really know what he got paid. Eventually, he says, "I won't take it because I want to star in it."
Yeah, and some people retcon that because they're like, oh, he knew not to sell the script and to keep the rights. Like,
Yeah, there's no
you
way.
hear you hear the George Lucas spin.
Right.
Okay, and it's almost like, why would he know to do that? So he knew Rocky.
It's unprecedented.
He would be making Rocky 30 years down the road.
40
like,
years.
Yeah, like he would know that. Like, how would you know that? There was nothing to get. At that point, the only film franchise that was consistent and current to compare that to was James Bond, because the Tarzan movies faded away by that point. The Universal Monster movies faded away. There was no template. So
Right.
that's when. So when Mark and I refer to things as being in contention, it's that. Now these are, because we want to be fair, these are things we'll never know. We'll never know for sure, but we're just laying it out. We're just trying to understand what's happening.
That's a funny
here.
retcon where they're like, "Do you see how smart he was? Lucas signed the merchandising rights. There was no toy lines. There was nothing that made that doesn't make any sense."
And even
Rocky knew it was going to be 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 Rockies.
Rocky-
No, Stallone didn't know any of that stuff.
Rocky envisioned the career of Hulk Hogan before there
Right.
was even a Hulk Hogan.
They're like, let's see, Clubber Lang. Let's get who
Yeah.
would be that? Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. So everybody, like, look, the point zero for Sly Stallone is 1976 Rocky, and I don't know. Like, did you want to take it now? Take the carriage, jump into the driver's seat.
What I like about it, there's a couple things. It was kind of shot guerrilla style. The guy who created the Steadicam, like,
One of
was
the first
on
Steadicam
it.
mouse.
And-
Which they say you can hear the gears and
When he's
and
walking
the
with little
pins.
Marie, so, but yeah, you
but
can hear
it's
it.
almost like
Hey, Marie.
yeah. But anyway,
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with. I mean, I wonder what it's like, and you can kind of see it sometimes. So we're in Philadelphia. You know, we're
we Dream Warriors
3 miles from
Studios.
the art museum.
Oh
Maybe?
no, we are less than a mile. No,
Oh.
I would say we're solid 1 mile because my gym is on my way there. The gym is maybe 3/4 of a mile.
Okay.
Art museum's a little bit further past the gym. Yeah,
So-
we could walk there.
So I
It
don't
takes
know
us
what it's like
15 minutes.
to not have the celebrity of Rocky, and that Philadelphia is in itself is its own celebrity,
Yeah, it's
right? Because like my grandmom lived off of Grace Ferry, like, so I know. I was like,
Okay, yeah.
like, so I've been in and out of parts of Philadelphia that they shot in, and I know a lot of the areas.
the connection of Rocky, the character, and Philly is very. It's so unique. There's no character even connected to New York City the way Rocky is connected to. And you go through all the great cities, and there's nothing. I mean, the city literally is part of the character of Rocky, and vice versa. And when people know you're from Philly, it's like you get the question. You get the Rocky question.
It's Rocky
It's
cheesesteaks.
yeah,
It's like it's a handful
it's
of
like
things.
pretzels.
And all the Eagles fans are horrible.
Right. Yeah. The
And
Eagles
we know
fans
those
throw
Phillies
snowballs
fans.
at Santa Claus at Vet Stadium.
All true.
During the Kotite era, but which is 100% true because that is on tape. Like
Never-
that was on live television.
Whoopsie.
But no, yeah. So Stallone gets he gets some money. Maybe plays hardball. Like wanted to star in the movie. I guess part of the deal with that, with him wanting to do that, was he threw his brother in the movie. His mother's in the movie too. His father's in.
His dad is
in the movie.
He rings the bell.
The ring, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then at this point,
But we don't know what he got paid for acting. I've heard scale. There's again, we're
Yeah.
under contention on all this
It's
stuff
tough,
because
yeah.
it's much better. It's funny. Like I made this is an underdog story, but it's also like they're selling the underdog story of getting this underdog story made, which made $226 million.
right. So
Right. So it's like just a hey, look at this fairy tale of this other fairy tale. So the lore itself has its own like origin. The stuff that I like about it is stuff that so I did a ton of research on it. The things that I like is that basically, and this is also another contention, that they gave them $1 million to make it. It went over budget, and by going over budget, the two producers mortgaged their house for the extra $100,000. Each mortgaged that. Have you seen that one?
Yeah. So
I don't know. I mean, you can't.
Which
I
is
don't know.
also part of the stories,
Right.
Like you even have this in like entrepreneur stories with Elon Musk and PayPal, where before Elon Musk went to Tesla, he was broke from PayPal.
Right.
And it's like really. So look, these people know what to do. They know how to tell. They're 100% committed to telling their own story. I wholeheartedly believe that they tell their story so much they believe them. They believe them through and through.
It bleeds.
Yeah. Okay.
For sure.
Now, Rocky goes on for the 49th Academy Awards, wins Best Picture. Are you familiar with any of the other movies Rocky was up against for Best Picture?
Well, I only looked up because I was under the impression in my brain for a long time made me think that he won for Best Writer. He did not. He was nominated, but
yes.
Network won.
Yeah, and he was also nominated for Best Actor. And
I didn't realize
Peter
that
Finch.
either. Yeah, which is interesting because I would think that, and like who talks about Network, like besides like film people.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of where we're going, because if we go into the films it was up against, it's almost like you have All the President's Men, which fantastic.
It's like the most competent film school movie because you're like, it's just here's how you make a 3-act structure. Like it is
3-act structure, limited settings,
right?
Explosive exposition dialogue. Like they're constantly explaining things.
It's not
as
boring.
they go
It should
along. And it's
technically be
earnest.
being a super boring film. It's not.
No, it's the movie moves. Bound for Glory, Network, and Taxi Driver.
It's a busy year,
isn't it? Like
Yeah.
it's almost like any one of those movies deserved to win, and one of those movies could have won. Did Rocky win because Rocky was itself the underdog movie that was made by underdogs?
Right.
Has now
the guy mortgaged his house to make the movie.
underdog in all
He had
of Hollywood.
$126.
Yeah.
He almost sold Butkus.
It's amazing, and it also won Best Director for not Stallone.
Right.
For our
John Avildsen.
Yeah, what did he do? Did he also do Karate Kid and Rudy?
He did. I don't know if he did Rudy. He couldn't do Rocky 2 because he was doing Saturday Night Fever,
Right.
which I think is interesting. Because
Also
that'll be
written by
another. Right. No, he wrote Staying Alive. I don't think he wrote.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. Yes.
the sequel, which
Yes.
that's a whole other.
That's it.
We'll
I
have
love
to
that
do
movie.
plus
I
and
love that
minus.
movie.
I don't know. I have no
Because that's
idea.
a Rocky dancing movie. Because he's the underdog in that too.
So he's got a theme. We'll go into themes.
Yeah,
later.
we will get into the Stallone.
So let me go
themed
through
tropes.
the main things so I have it done. So
Yeah,
there's
let's
a
go,
couple
let's go.
things. So there's the Steadicam shots.
Mark has a composition.
Oh, remember
notepad,
this?
people.
I wrote that. This was early.
Yeah, and it's actually written just
It
like
says on it.
Kevin Spacey's notebooks in Seven.
You can't make the Kevin Spacey jokes anymore. Unfortunately, I don't know if it'll go.
Quick side note: do you watch House of Cards?
No, I've
You
never
don't-
watched it.
You never. I see.
No.
Well, why that doesn't appeal to you, but Sabrina the Teenage Witch does.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
I know. I make no
fascinated.
sense.
I love Mark's mind. Everyone, I wholeheartedly love Mark's
Right.
mind.
All right. So
Okay, but yeah.
So the things I like about it are a lot of the little like the guerrilla filmmaking stuff, the accidents, as they say. That's Orson Welles' favorite parts of things. But the 5:30. So they did a shoot of him running up the steps. It's actually two shots.
Shots done in reverse.
They did.
They
Yeah,
did it one way, and they're like, no,
because they were zooming out.
and they're like, we should zoom in.
Right. So they flip it backwards. So
Yeah.
so when you watch it, you can actually that's him dancing because he's just like he gets to the top and he's kind of like just keeping
Yeah.
his muscles going.
Right.
It hurts. That hurts.
Warming up, loosening up. Got to throw a couple
So when
punches.
you'll never watch that again and not realize that it's backwards because I watched it again. I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So they did both shots. The shots of him not making it up the steps, which was the early montage of him running.
Yes.
Was on at 5:30 a.m. and 1 hour later he runs up like he's done it all the time.
And you can
it's the same day.
Yeah, and you can see that there's a different. It looks like a different day because of the sun. The
Yeah,
sun
it's just
dropped
1
down
hour
that
later.
quick. Yeah.
So there's stuff like that. What do you think the most expensive thing on the production sheet was? What was the most expensive about this film?
I would say the catering, the food. No,
It was the makeup.
the makeup was
The makeup, like that means
Interesting.
every actor.
Yeah.
Like you tabulate every single thing: actors, directors, like everything all the way up. the makeup. So the makeup was interesting because I didn't know this until today. They shot the last fight backwards. They shot him with full face, like full beat up, and then they just take a little bit more of away, and then it's round 15, and then round 13 and 14, and they go all the way down.
It does make sense to go backwards.
I don't know who would have thought of that. I never would have thought of that. That's a wonderful producer. Of that.
But and again too, like that's part of the complexities of filmmaking that we try and drill into with Dream Warriors, because we all know how movies end up the way that they are, and I think this is where I'm overcritical of people that are too critical sometimes, because it's like you're not really discussing the movie, and you're not giving the movie credit to even exist. But Rocky definitely, again, it's a miracle that movie even got done when you go into how they shot the movie.
Yeah, they filmed it in 28 days. They were they were running out of money. The ice rink scene was supposed to be with people.
Yeah.
But they couldn't afford 300 extras, so it's just them.
And it's a great scene.
It's a great scene. So there's stuff like that I think is really fun.
That has become a trope now, because like movies have that scene now. Like romantic comedies always have that scene that I know a guy, we can walk around Yankee Stadium,
right.
Or like, you wanted to play.
I got a guy.
You wanted to play at the French Open before you busted your leg. Oh, look, let's walk around center court at the French Open so we can have a cutesy moment. But yeah, so Rocky comes and goes. Rocky gets Best Picture, and then our boy kind of, I look at his post 76. I look at 1978 as the true arrival of Sylvester Stallone, because he made a name for himself, and he got a shot, and he did something with it, and one of them was like, hey, what else do you got? And he goes, well, I have Rocky as a wrestling movie, as a pro wrestling movie called Paradise Alley. And they're like, great, what can you do with it? He goes, well, I already wrote it. What if I star in that movie and direct it? And they're like, perfect, done, here's the money, make it. He makes that movie. It gets raked through the coals, because there's nothing but get compared to Rocky.
I don't think I have any idea what that is.
But it's also like an early era of wrestling. Like, he liked wrestling, but gives so much credit when Hulk Hogan showed up.
Yeah, Rocky
like
Thunderlips.
Again, like this, it's proof that he's a fan. Yeah. So and then he did Fist, directed by one of my all-time favorite directors, Norman Jewison, behind the original Thomas Crown Affair, the original Rollerball. He's one of the all-time best. Joe Esterhazy, maybe the greatest screenwriter in Hollywood history. He writes a novel of a script. Stallone chops down the script, rewrites it, writes himself into the movie, and actually is a part of a serious movie. FIST, it's an acronym, but it's a legitimate movie, great movie. And then we get Rocky 2.
So Rocky 2, it immediately gets like discounted. Again, we go into the sequel situation is that, but it's very logical. It's the next day, they're fighting, and it's like literally it's egos.
He's shaking. He is almost punch drunk there.
Right.
Like it's also it's almost the story people think Rocky 1 is. See, everyone who hasn't seen Rocky is surprised when he doesn't win at the end of Rocky.
Right.
So they think Rocky 2 is Rocky 1.
Right.
Okay.
Well, so Rocky 2 is also, there's no home video market. There's no replay.
Not yet. Yeah.
So what they do is they show the complete end of Rocky 1.
They do. Yeah. They recap it.
It's like 8 minutes. Like it's like no, I think they show it's like full 8 minutes.
Well, isn't it somewhat a montage?
But then they show,
and then they heighten the music. I thought they played with the music too a little bit. Where the music was a little bit.
But I like that's fun. Like that was like that. I would like
always,
all the
when I was younger, I always liked watching Rocky 2 because it showed you the best part of Rocky. Like you didn't have to watch all of Rocky for the fight. Rocky 2 was like, oh, here's the best part of Rocky. Here's the fight.
Right.
And I'm talking like a kid, just like what a kid would want to see. But anyway, yeah.
Well, that did more with Apollo Creed because again. Even in the first one, he's barely in the first one. Carl Weathers got paid. Carl Weathers didn't even know he was in a ring with Stallone, and he hits him really hard.
Yeah.
And then he says, "Oh, well, I'll be more careful when the actor is going to. This is on his audition. He's like, I'll be more careful when the actor is going. I'm fighting with an actor. He's like, yeah, that's me.
That's me.
He thought it was a stand-in.
Yeah.
That's how kind of crazy, like, it was, you know. And even when they shot scenes on the street, like, it just looked like people walking around.
Well, it's also too
his outfit was from a thrift shop. Like, his jacket and hat were from a thrift shop in Philly.
The Carl Weather, Apollo Creed scenes in the first movie are the head of Paramount's office.
That's right. Yeah,
they went to the guy's office and were
then
like,
they rolled a backdrop in it, so it's literally a painting. You'll realize nothing is moving in that backdrop.
Yeah, it's like we got to do something here. But I think that this is where when the movie becomes mythic, every little detail now becomes a part of.
There's tons
of the lore. And look, we even see, like, in our lifetime, we saw it happen with Ghostbusters, where when we were growing up, Ghostbusters was just a funny movie. And then all of a sudden, every single detail of Ghostbusters became this, like, magnifying aspect.
Which is the nostalgia culture that we were in. We wouldn't have had that convention if it wasn't for, like, that we went to a month ago.
No, and you know what we didn't have at that convention? Enough alcohol.
We had a ton of alcohol.
No, I had a lot of alcohol. Dude, I left with too many beers. FYI.
I still have PBR in my fridge.
Yeah, but anyway, no. So we get Rocky 2. Rocky 2, I long said was one of the all-time great sequels. I do feel like I think it's of an age where there really wasn't a sequel market. There wasn't a sequel idea. Rocky 2 was as good as Godfather 2, Aliens, these low-hanging fruit other ones. And, you know, like, I would group Rocky 2 in with RoboCop 2. Like, to these just sequels people, like, they forgot about for so long. But anyway, so we get Rocky 2.
But it doesn't do, so the first one does 221 million. The second one does 220. So not, usually most sequels today, you hear that they go over, but then the drop-off is fast.
Yeah, right.
You know, like Wonder Woman 2 is going to be like, ugh. And then it's going to be like a bad drop-off.
84 is going to be like 4 times Wonder Woman 1.
Right.
Week 2, down 81%.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is where things were in theaters for a long time. This was post Star Wars.
Long draw,
where
word
they
of
just
mouth
had it
mattered.
There.
Reviews mattered. Reviews and getting stories post-release for movies mattered. Definitely significant. So, and then what did he do? What else did he do around Rocky 2? What do we have?
I didn't write down.
So Rocky 2.
When's Rambo?
Post Rocky 2, we have one of the all-time best, almost like buddy cop, the gritty buddy cop movies that were kind of spawned out of the French Connection. So William Friedkin created a genre with his style for French Connection. Roy Schneider, Gene Hackman, look it up. But 1981 gave us Nighthawks.
Oh yeah.
And Escape to Victory. So he again,
the good beard. He had the good beard.
Yeah. So again, 2 hard-hitting movies, different movies. He's not playing he's playing different types of roles. So every single chance he's had with a Rocky success, he's actually swinging for the fences, doing something else. And Nighthawks and Escape to Victory were paid actor roles. He didn't write anything. They selected him. Those were scenarios that he created within the studio. So he does 2 movies in 81. Probably, I'm sure Nighthawks was a little bit 1980. Okay, but then we have Rocky 3, and now we have his maybe first, like, I would say, okay. I kind of say 78 was a monster year for him because he did have Fist and Paradise Alley, 2 movies I adore. But 82 is another, like, 1-2 punch year where we have Rocky 3 and First Blood.
Right. So
like,
it's 2 complete.
Holy crap! Yeah, and one of them.
He's spearheading a brand new, kind of a new genre.
Yeah,
There's not a lot of Vietnam films at this time.
No, it was so here's the thing. So part of what I call, like, the Vietnam apologist era in Hollywood.
Is that post Platoon?
Yeah, it's pretty much like. But then again, with Platoon, there was the because, like, the Vietnam movies that were before Platoon would be like The Boys of Company C, which were more like, I don't want to say they were nationalistic, but they were just more about, like, the conflict that those movies portrayed. And then, like, Platoon came, and we had Casualties of War with Michael J. Fox and Sean Penn, another Brian De Palma film, and we did have these apologist movies. Who the one guy that broke that trend was Mel Gibson with We Were Soldiers. He did a legit, like a legit Vietnam movie that was about napalm and the destructive nature of napalm. But no. But yeah, dude, like Rocky 3 and First Blood. Now you have the continuation of, now you would consider a franchise or a hell of a trilogy, and then we have the birth of John Rambo,
right?
Which is, I don't know, maybe one of the best adaptations from a novel. Like next to Die Hard, where like the novel doesn't even matter. Right. Jurassic Park book doesn't matter.
Jaws book, whatever.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it goes into this line of like cherry picking a couple ideas and making a hell of a movie. And then, do you have anything for Rocky 3?
Well, the thing is, it's funny. I think even as like a kid, and I must have seen it when I was a little bit older.
Yeah.
I didn't like the inclusion of. I felt like it was like selling out. Even then, even when I was a kid, because I was like, why is Hulk Hogan in this?
But
why is B.A. Baracus in this?
Yeah,
but
the character himself is selling out. Too.
I know. It's super meta. It's meta. It's meta before meta.
It is meta before meta.
Insane.
Yeah, because I remember before I knew there was a Rocky 3, I knew of wrestling. And when someone told me that Hulk Hogan was in the Rocky movie, like I couldn't understand it because one guy wrestled and one guy boxed. Like I was young enough to know the difference.
Right.
And then I remember originally watching that movie.
Because Hulk Hogan is a character. We don't think of Hulk Hogan as a character. He's Hulk Hogan.
He plays Thunder Lips. Yeah.
But when I see that movie when I was a kid, I'm just like, is this a wrestling? Is this on like I don't think my brain could like concept.
Yeah, I don't think I accepted the scenario of the two of them together, even though like now when I watch it I'm like, oh, it was like just it's a promo, it's a thing, it's like you do these things sometimes to get more money,
right?
Like now, like the adult version of me understands it. The kid version of me was like, why would they be fighting though? How would that be fair? Like what rules are you applying to this? Can Hogan just,
and it's kind of weird now because people I know, well now it's ironic because there's many like either MMA people going into wrestling or vice versa, or boxers that are MMA fighters or wrestlers that go to boxing. Like it's kind of funny.
Even Mayweather, he's fighting that Japanese guy, and after fighting Conor McGregor, and it's an exhibition, money, rain. It's not even a money grab. You're printing money. Okay, it's beyond that. But now it's like, it's funny how like that's accepted. People can wrap their minds around it. I just remember, and then even the inclusion of Clubber Lang in Rocky 3. So I went through a period where I didn't watch any Rocky movie for a stretch. And then when I was watching them, like it might have been when the original DVD box set came out, which was all like the clip shells. They would click, okay, and they would line up to make the poster for Rocky 4 because again, like we all
merchandising.
We associate all Rocky movies now with Rocky 4, and I went through them knowing, like at that point, the one I saw the most was Rocky 5 because like that was repeated on HBO at one point. So like, and then the crossover with Tommy Gunn, the real life boxer, you know, and then Sage Stallone, who's like the real life son of Stallone, being in Rocky 5. So I went through those, and the arc that emerged between Rockies 1, 2, and 3 was enlightening because again, like Clubber Lang is the lesson of never losing your edge, of like respecting your opponents, of not thinking you're on a high horse, and that it blew me away because like it's a legitimate arc. Like he took almost like nothing. He took this random success from Rocky, and now there's a character arc where he has gained and lost success. And around that you have gods, like you have Apollo Creed, you have Clubber Lang, you have these like the Greek gods around this dude from Philly. But then again, if we watch Rocky 3, he's 100% more intelligent than he was in Rocky because he's part retarded.
He got over He's part retarded. That. But I do, what I find interesting with that is that they Apollo Creed flip sides basically. I mean, you know, he says I need to get you back. It's more respect on that. And I think that's I think that makes 4. If 3 wasn't there, 4 makes no. I mean, of course, it would make no sense. But there is a kinship that happens, and it's a respect kinship. It's completely different than you've ever seen. It's almost like, like it's almost like when sometimes like Luther and Superman are kind of like teaming up in a way.
Right, and it's just one of those things where it's an obvious choice.
They're on the beach running.
Yeah, but they had the actor set up. So and the story set up to where like people would understand him training, like Rocky, and then we have the emergence of the shredded Stallone, the fitness Stallone, the slow motion shots, the short shorts, the tank tops. Like now we have Stallone now emerging as a sex idol. And we saw that in the Oprah episode we watched today, where it was mostly about who he's dating and banging.
Right.
It was like, so you're on an hour network television, and you're literally getting drilled by Oprah on who you're banging because you have a mullet for Rainbow 3.
He can cut it, but he was promoting it, so he was like,
Well, he said, I prefer not to touch my hair until the movie gets released, because he said you never know when you have to come back for like another, like a reshoot.
Wow.
So he said that like in the beginning of the Oprah. Yeah, he perfectly explained why.
Wouldn't throw a wig on him, or like do like an Obi-Wan beard,
or do the Caval Justice League mustache, which is
looks like there's like an invisible like slug on his lip.
That was such a weird move.
Yeah.
Because what scenes would even like I watched
it
that.
adds nothing to the movie.
Yeah, it's and
all the scenes that he's in adds nothing.
It's
to the movie.
Literally Josh Whedon. Aren't like, if you want to talk about high horse, aren't high horse thinking you're like you are literally Superman. You're here to save the day and save that movie. I think he literally thought he was going to save that movie. But anyway, no. Okay, so we get Rocky 3, we get Nighthawks, Escape to Victory. I'm sorry, Rocky 3, 1982, Rocky 3, First Blood, and then 1983 we have Staying Alive.
So that's when he. So he has no connection to Saturday Night Fever. Actually, a strange connection because John Avildsen left. He couldn't direct Rocky 2 because he wanted to direct Staying Alive.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And then he likes the movie so much he writes a sequel to it, but also
it's like fan fiction,
almost selling out. Right, where it's like, okay, it's going to be about aerobics, right?
And then it's not so much. So he's. So right,
and then the
Stallone character is.
I think it's so crazy. So he's directing Travolta.
Yeah.
Like, it seems so crazy to me. They seem like not the same person, but they're a similar look.
So
like, how is that even a thing?
So the story for this, the melodrama, I think, is a little bit of a disconnect. But the actual story of Travolta in that, if you follow Travolta, he has left his home. He's now on the ground bottom of the dance industry, just trying to get a bit on Broadway, just trying to get a bit somewhere. And now everything that Stallone's struggle was in pre-Rocky is written into this movie. There is a scene where Travolta is washing his clothes in the shower with soap. And Stallone always referenced like that was from real life. And I'm sure there's like other things now. The movie is pure 80s also, which is weird. Like when you watch it today, there's a style, what we're seeing on stage, because the performance that they're doing, like the musical, the play, it's like heaven and hell. It's like almost like a metaphor, and it doesn't come off. Like what's happening on stage on that, like it doesn't come off. But at the end of the day, if you were going to make a sequel to Saturday Night Fever, like this is like it's a ballsy attempt. It's like this idea of taking the character and saying, and I view it as like an Aliens. Like if we're going to take like Sigourney Weaver, like can we put her with Space Marines into a war and show like that she's like bad? She's a bad girl. Like don't mess with her. And I think some of the best sequels take that chance. Okay, and some of them fail at it. One would be like Dark Knight Rises or something. Like Matrix Reloaded might be guilty of it, where they wanted to do too much with some of those concepts. And then we have ones that just don't resonate, they don't hit. But this movie, at least there's points where you can chart, and I'm going too far into Staying Alive. But Staying Alive has points where it's a character arc stemming from Saturday Night Fever. And if you compare it to, I'll just make a quick comparison to something like RoboCop 3, which doesn't do anything. See, RoboCop 3 has no intent. It doesn't know what it's trying to be with the characters, okay? And it's just this, like, off plastic, cardboard feeling. Platitudes, I know I'm using platitudes, but it's just the feeling of the movie sometimes. But this movie at least is a guy struggling, trying to make his way into the world. And I think, like, that's a good selling point if you got Stallone, like, spearheading the project. And then you got Travolta coming back. Like, how you not say yes to making that movie?
Right, but, like, most people don't even think it's... Do they use... It's not BG songs, right?
No.
It's Frank Stallone songs. There's Frank Stallone songs on there.
Which makes it even better.
But I want to say that, like, I had that soundtrack too.
Hey, next creator corner, Frank Stallone.
That'll be the midweek show, a Wednesday 20-minute show.
Yeah.
I don't really know, but okay, is there any success in this film? Like, meaning, was it successful box office critically? I don't have any concept of it.
I don't even know where it is money wise. Okay, box office. Okay, the budget was $22 million. Box office $65 million.
So not totally awful, because marketing costs back then didn't. Now they say whatever the movie's budget is, you double it.
Yeah, it's 1 point. Like I thought it was like 1.5. It's like unless
it's a Marvel film, it's
like
double. Right.
Yeah, at least because you're paying for SpaghettiOs with the Marvel movie.
It's double. Yeah. But back then that would be profitable.
Yeah. So a lot of it too. I think Staying Alive, pun intended, didn't have staying power. Meaning it probably got people out.
The thing that I remember
it just didn't resonate.
Is it Finola Hughes who was on? She was on, like, I think All My Children. She didn't dance though. Like, they have a body double.
They do 100%. Yeah, clear body. Like, but she is so hot though. She's so hot.
No, I just remember the body double. I just remember that they would
probably
just body double
having a boner, like, watching that movie. Because everyone's so hot. Even Travolta is just like jacked. It's almost like Travolta and Stallone worked out the entire time the movie was being made.
He sculpted him.
They're both just like ripped. But okay, so you kind of said this was a sellout movie, but the next movie up, I would say, is Stallone's first attempt, not as selling out, but maybe thinking he's above the ether. And he's going to do whatever he wants, and he's going to make the number 13 because you're Jim Carrey, and you think you can do a horror thriller, and people are going to buy you in a horror thriller. No, Jim Carrey, please do Ace Ventura 3. We want to see you come out of another animal's anus again, please.
Right.
And we see this time and time again. People lose themselves. They lose themselves. Okay.
Right.
He does Rhinestone with Dolly Parton.
Which
written and starred.
I know, but back then, but just remember, this is like
9 to 5. Dolly's huge. Dolly's huge.
It's a pitch meeting. They're in a room like, okay, listen, Stallone wants to do a project. He wants to do a comedy. Let me get the person on a height, on a rising star.
Or the way how I envision some of these too, it's like the Creative Artist Agency, the CAA, meaning that, like, oh, we have two of our biggest talents, and they both have a scheduling opening. Like, we have 6 weeks for these two. What do we have? And then they call Stallone. He's like, hey, I have an idea for that. And then, like, 2 days later, script.
Yeah, because he could do a script in 2 days. He did Rocky script in 2.5 days.
Yeah, but so Rhinestone. Look, I don't have much of a recollection. Rhinestone might be a movie I would like to revisit. I would like to go back into this movie but then again too, just Rhinestone also stylistically seems to be like some of the comedies of the era. Like what's the is it BJ and the Bear, the Clint Eastwood? No, what's the Clint Eastwood monkey movie with
Every
the
Which Way
orangutan?
But Loose.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So
and then they did like another one. You know what I mean? Or Any Which Way You Can.
Right. So like there's I think for 1984, this was a style of like heightened, maybe like later, like stylized
slapstick
comedies.
Yeah, slapstick. It's misunderstanding. Fish out of water.
Right. Opposing forces. Like, hey, you're from the country, I'm from the city. Hey, we don't get along, but we have to like do this thing together.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So
we have 2 hours to do it. Let's go.
84. So here's the thing.
I can't believe that he wrote, like, what I find fascinating when you look through. He's written or has some type of creative control through everything.
Almost from every single
From
movie.
the biggest grossing film.
1976 on. Right now we're about to hit 1985. So already from 76 to 85, he has written all but 2 movies,
Right.
which was Nighthawks and Escape to Victory.
But again, because he was chiseled out and it was tabloid fodder,
Shredded like lettuce.
there's no talk of him writing or being a creative talent.
Oh no,
Zero.
They do not.
In the media, there's nothing like that.
So keep in
He's
mind,
not like Bradley Cooper today. Like, he's the most brilliant person ever.
because
Nice.
he made a musical movie with
That was
Lady-
done 3 times previously.
Yeah, and with a musical, like if he made The Star Is Born with someone that wasn't musically inclined,
With Carly Rae Jepsen. What if they did that? Where they did like the lowest level, like
that's
D,
what I mean.
and then elevated. They're like, no, we're taking this elevated person, and then we're gonna just put her in this, and she's already great.
Yeah, I like if he did A Star Is Born with Grumpy Cat, you got my attention, Bradley
Right.
Cooper. But yeah, so he, outside of 2 movies, he has had a hand in writing, and you can even say creating the project, like getting his hands on materials and reforming them. And now he's on the run now that is already almost unheard of, even for professional screenwriters. Like professional screenwriters have the best have five to 6 pops outside of like a John Logan, a David Keough, a Joe Hessaz, a Paul Schrader, where you become like go-to guys for major directors. But there's
Right.
only a handful of those guys in all of history. Everyone else gets a couple pops. You make a couple screenplays, they get made, and that's enough for you. Like, you don't really, these screenwriters are not grinders, they're poppers, meaning few people even have a career in screenwriting. Not saying that they're not in Hollywood doing things, but some of them aren't. Some of them only write one screenplay and it gets made into a movie, and then you never hear from them again.
Right. They can't get their second one out, and then the second one doesn't work, and then they're not hireable.
Yeah, or
they
like
won't hire them.
David S. Goyer would be like a great example of like somehow he must have information on people from Warner Brothers or something, because he endless work from Warner Brothers, endless. Okay,
Right.
But no, okay. So we have 1985. We have First Blood Part 2, now titled Rainbow, and we have Rocky 5.
No, Rocky 4.
Rocky 4. I'm sorry. Yes, Rocky 4.
Well, the interesting thing with that is that when I was a kid, because I never saw First Blood, I felt the numbering was confusing. There's no number,
Yes.
right? But I always was like, is that the first? Or I watched that one as the first one, and then I would go back and like, well, First Blood's the first one. I don't understand. It was like Terminator 2. Like,
yeah,
it was like,
to me, we always watched Rainbow and then Rainbow 3. We never cared about First Blood,
Right,
because it's a dirty movie. He's not jacked. He's not fighting the Russians. He's not blowing up helicopters with a explosive arrow.
right. Well, 3 is just off the charts.
It's a
violent,
confusing
stupid.
story.
Yeah.
Right, because in the beginning he's like rescuing the colonel from like a like Arab camp or some like ISIS type facility, and then goes back home, or the second one is where he rescues the POWs from the camp.
MIAs, yeah.
Right. So this one now he's with the Russian Afghan war. He's okay. So he's part of the insurgents of the Afghans against the Russians. So he's actually on the side of like early ISIS in Rainbow 3, which was completely topical of the time. Like the Russia's struggle in the Middle East was well documented in the mid 80s. That was part of the Reagan era. That was part of, even if you want to say, propaganda, but they put that stuff out so history note. So the Reagan administration, they assisted the rebels against the Russians to help bleed Russia dry, because they knew Russia was in a capitalistic economy and they had a limit to what they could spend. And that was a part of the long drawn-out war where Russia would sink all of their money into the Middle East, and the U.S. was just like giving like advice and training and weapons, maybe some soldiers like in Afghanistan to bleed Russia dry. So it is topical that he would be there, but the movie coherently I mean, it's just a commercial for Stallone.
Right. Well, luckily he ends the Cold War in Rocky 4, so that's fine.
And side
People
note,
can change. I can change.
we all can change.
And there's Gorbachev standing up. It's the weirdest ending. It's
is.
really odd.
And then
So that makes okay. So here's the thing with Rocky 4.
Yeah.
Is Rocky 4, and I didn't really think about this. I saw a stat on this today, and I didn't even. It's crazy to me. However, it does make sense. So maybe he was writing Rambo, and didn't have time to write Rocky 4, because Rocky 4, and this is no lie, has 8 montages.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about this.
32% of the movie. It's a 91-minute film.
Yeah.
And 30 minutes, a third of the movie, is montages. 8 different montages.
Yeah, and we're also dealing with. I say this a lot when it comes to Rocky 4. What I think if you describe a Rocky movie to someone who's never seen one, and the way you describe it, what they're going to like conjure is going to be Rocky 4. I think Rocky 4 is the Rocky movie because it's just training and punching, and we have an easily discernible enemy.
There's again, we talked at the
such
beginning.
a clear plot, or lack of.
Apollo Creed is not a villain in the first one. He's not an antagonist necessarily. He isn't necessarily in Rocky 2.
He's built though. He's built because in the first one he's calling him a chump. He's calling him a paper not a paper challenger, maybe not paper champion, but he's like he's what helps in the story because you root for like Rocky more and more in Rocky 1. But then he turns, and then spoiler alert, like Rocky 4 begins with this exhibition match, and he gets mauled by Ivan Drago, who is the soft on the eyes Dolph Lundgren, who is just ripped and jacked, who got picked up right from, was he like a bouncer? Grace Jones picked him up, discovered him, streamlined him into Hollywood and and he was a chemist. He had he's
brilliant. Apparently,
he's like a genius. This giant jacked.
So you have two people that are amazingly smart but act like retards.
Yeah,
right. They act like they are not good at things.
So Rocky 4, I really think it's next to Top Gun, one of the best wartime. And I do believe the Cold War, as being wartime, it's one of the best nationalist movies you can ever have. Nationalist in the truest sense that America has values, and we're going to display those values, but we're also going to show how we can come to the table together. I think the speech at the end says that. Does it come off? But I'll tell you one thing. Some of that stuff today would be...
It's really good. It's great writing.
It would be helpful, though, because the way things are divided and the way you're taught to hate aside today, within, because right now you can kind of say it's a cold civil war right now. I mean, I'd look at Rocky 4 and I'm like, wow. I'm like, at least people were kind of on the same side countrywide, I think there's a lot to say about that. But at the same time, we have two jacked, sweated up
They're
dudes,
pretty perfect,
glistening, glistening.
Well, I think the poster, the Rocky 4 poster, is just burned into my brain with him with the flag over him. He's just kind of laying on people,
beat up.
It's almost like like a Michelangelo sculpture.
It is almost like it's almost like if the Pieta had a sequel.
Exactly. It's Rocky.
Jesus revises.
Right. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Yep.
But, he's ready to go. But no,
But he put all the writing into that one speech. There's hardly anything in the movie. There's hardly any words in the movie.
But you know what, too? I think when it comes to the skills of a filmmaker, and I think that it's almost like I was watching Aeon Flux today. MTV Liquid Television. Look it up. Aeon Flux.
Peter Chung.
Good. Yeah. Aeon Flux.
Can't put it past me.
Yeah.
Nothing past.
Yeah. You're almost like Drax with metaphors. I will catch them.
Nothing goes over my head. I would catch it. My reflexes are too fast. Yeah.
But no. But the thing is, though, Aeon Flux is it works so well originally because it was silent. And then once they added words and characters and made it a series, it was like, wow, there's really nothing. I don't want to watch this. Yeah, right. and I think sometimes the skill of a creative entity is silence. Okay.
Well, this would be his fifth film.
1, 2, 3. It might be 5, but in all, it's got to be his. By I know by the time he did Rocky 3, it was like the 31st film he was in.
Right. I mean, he's
so
directing all these. He's directing
directed,
2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, so he's directed.
But again, we're kids. There's
1, 2,
no
3.
mention that he writes or directs.
It's the 5th.
It's not a thing. It's not a concept.
It's the 5th. Okay.
And the robot's in 4, and the robot was James Brown's robot. Apparently,
Brown. What was the name?
It was like his tour robot.
Yeah. What's the name of the robot?
And who watched the kid? Did the robot just watch his kid?
Yeah, because it's a robot.
Oh my god.
It's almost like Lost in Space. Like that was like Robbie the robot.
Right. It is funny culturally to watch these in the movie and just think about 78. Right, it's almost the 60s. Like when they have it, when they shoot it, it's almost the 60s. There's like it's loan sharks, and you know what I mean. It's just like
it's almost like the Rocky is almost like part crime drama. It's
right,
like, it really is
right.
Because like the way my father spoke, because my father's from South Philly, like the way how he spoke about it, and my grandfather, like you would watch Rocky and be like, oh. Like,
I know those people.
Yeah.
They're my uncle.
Like,
yeah,
I get it. And I think Rocky is significant for that, but then again, it's also a sign of the time, which means that it does fade and it is drifting away. And I do believe Rocky is losing relevance. But
2 Lamborghinis.
He's got 2
back to back,
candy coated Lambos. Yeah,
back to back.
But Rocky 4 is always
it's $300 million, made the most money, hands down.
Go-to movie.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a. I think it is if you're talking about film study. It is a study on. You can watch that movie silent, and
yeah, I would agree with that.
We can follow it, which is
he's got a beard. He's going to go up the mountain.
I love, but hey, and it's also like a symbol for anyone into fitness, like Rocky 4. The ideas of the montage. The like
well, I mean, it's electronics, and then he's getting steroids, he's getting pumped in, he's getting needles.
The KGB like stalking him while he's training, trying to
tricks him and gets him snuck in the
snow.
Like, are you
they
crazy?
Crash the car. Yeah,
like they're not gonna. Yeah, it's just so crazy. He's like, I will fight these KGB officers, but I won't touch them.
And then he runs to the top of the mountain to cry Drago. And then wait, isn't that like that's actually good sound editing? Because I'm just remembering that scene. Doesn't he? So the montage is ending. The music's going.
Yeah, the helicopter shot up and around.
And then he hits the top and he yells Drago. And doesn't it go to like the bell?
The cuts are amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, the form
like,
cuts
bing,
in. And
bing,
it's like
and you're like, I don't know.
And that's it.
That's masterful. I love it. But
he shaved. Then he shaved him.
Yeah, right. He had time to shave.
He had time to shave. And I ran down the mountain and I shaved him late, and I got to get in the ring. So before we leave Rocky 4.
Yeah.
Why does Rocky 4 like have a weird? What is our connection to Rocky 4 musically? What's our thing?
It's Transformers the movies. It's Vince, our boy Vince.
Right. Well,
Vince DiCola.
Vince DiCola does the
synthesizer
so
score. Watch parts of it literally sound like Transformers.
Just exactly like Transformers. Movie. Yeah. Exactly.
It's like dun 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 dun. Right. It's like hey.
Well, it's weird. Like
that dude was on the run.
But see, that's what's interesting.
He had 2 movies
of the time,
yeah.
Right? But like, because you go 1 and 2, you get traditional, you get Bill Conti music, wonderful. Don't get me wrong, 1, 2,
right?
3,
traditional.
3. They put Eye of the Tiger and Survivor. They put most of that album on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's interesting. But then they still have Rocky themes in, or they did like a version of Eye of the Tiger. I want to say that Conti did a version of that.
I don't know. I don't know if Eye of the Tiger is in Rocky 4. I'm just thinking of it.
No, it's in 3.
Right.
But
Hearts on Fire is in Rocky 4.
Yes.
On fire.
And that's where he throws his
deep desire.
Is that him in the Lambo riding around the tunnel?
It might have been.
He gets out and throws it, or is that 3?
No, that's 3. No, because isn't the third?
Throw the helmet. When's he throw the helmet?
I think he's having flashbacks of Creed. So that is 4.
Yeah,
that is 4.
That's one of the 8 montages.
They're recapping what happened 10 minutes ago in the movie. By the way,
in case you missed it. In this 91-minute film, we need to go back like 10 minutes. 91
we gotta
minutes.
Keep this going. We gotta keep. Dude, the movie Rocky 4
it's
literally
tight.
is a 30-minute fight.
It is 30 minutes.
And
it's a
that's
solid
the
30
only
minutes.
thing we care about. And the fight's not even like a real fight because they're skipping around.
Right. It's a lot of haymakers and they.
He's like, I got him. Put me out there. I got him.
Oh, the weird thing with Rocky 1, if you watch Rocky 1, like, because I was watching all the makeup stuff, is when they go cut me make, you can literally see, like, the squib in the guy's hand. He just, like, squirts on his face.
Does he really?
You can see it. It's pretty bad.
That's awesome. I'm telling you. Look.
His knuckles, do you know about his knuckles? Stallone's knuckles? So his knuckles are literally worn down for life because he was punching the meat.
Oh.
And he wasn't properly taped.
Wasn't properly taped.
And
wow.
he, like, his knuckles are, like, they're forever messed up.
Just raw or, like...
They're ground down.
Wow, that's amazing.
And that scene's funny, too, because he pushes Paulie away and he starts punching and his hands are already bloody. Like, he doesn't hit it. Like, he doesn't... There wasn't a, you know...
That's amazing. Okay.
But Rocky IV, $300 million.
Made some cash.
Making
cash. So... Are we done? You ready? You ready to jump to 86, 87? Because we have another double year. So he wrote 2 movies, directed 2 movies, right? Right? Directed? No, he wrote 2 movies. And he let me see here. I'm trying to go through my notes. He wrote 2 movies. 1986 Cobra, 1987 Over the Top.
Right. So you have 2,
I guess 2 movies.
Very exploitative films.
Exploitative. People love to hate. His current wife now that he met in Rocky IV, Bridget Nielsen, was the dangerous in distress in Cobra. Cobra also, I might have been. So here's tell me, Alan, if you agree or if you ever had this take on it. So the late 70s, early 80s, a lot of thrillers, kind of like Rosemary Baby, was obsessed with satanic cults. So that was like the which had a revival recently, but the satanic cult craze came from the Charles Manson murders, and Hollywood responded, and they created maybe like the greatest era of thrillers period was like the Roman Polanski Rosemary's Baby era, and then we kind of have an ending of that era with Cobra, with the villain in Cobra, with the cult. It was a cult-driven movie. It's a violent movie, and you can equally say it's what's worse. Now action movies started to become under fire culturally in that era because Stallone was promoting violence. Like Steve McQueen in Bullet, it's essentially the same freaking character. Right. He essentially is McQueen in Bullet in this movie, but for some reason Stallone's the one pushing violence, and then. To pair that up, we have, I guess, a movie. Like both of these movies have lived on, like they've grown, because people love Over the Top now. It's becoming this.
It's going to become this. Again, it's not. Even then, I knew it was stupid and cheesy, and flipping the switch with my hat and all that stuff. But it didn't matter. And this was also the time
it's
when
still the best though.
when they started merchandising, they merchandised that film out. You can buy a wrestling, arm wrestling,
had action figures.
Yeah, action figures. You can buy like a thing where you can brace yourself and wrestle your buddies.
Yeah, but
it's so weird.
It's also like this idea that arm wrestling was a thing. You didn't you didn't know anything about
they
that
made it
lifestyle and culture,
right.
and so you learn 3 things with Over the Top. Okay, we're just going to say. Just go watch Cobra. I think, and Cobra 2 I almost feel like we need to do like a commentary on Cobra.
I barely.
Oh my god. Okay, but Over the Top, you learn 3 things in Over the Top. You learn about the arm wrestling culture, the competitive culture.
Is it? Or did they just combine it with...
Oh, no. Professional arm wrestling, and you can...
Do you think he couldn't make a wrestling film? Or he kind of did already make a wrestling film. He's like, what do I do now?
Well,
arm wrestling? That's in the consciousness.
I think a lot of the guys in Over the Top were some of the top bodybuilders of the time.
Okay.
And I do believe it's a little bit of... like Schwarzenegger with Predator, where he got friends he liked lifting with to be like around that movie.
Right.
And I think Over the Top for Stallone was very much that. But we learned 3 things. We learned about arm wrestling. We learned about trucking, people that drove trucks for a living. And we learned about child custody.
It's kind of like I learned about divorce from Mrs. Doubtfire. That's how I learned about divorce.
Not Kramer versus Kramer.
Right.
Mrs.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
It's much sadder. And more correct.
And I will say this: if we were to go with the, again, like Roger Ebert, the best movies are the ones you learn something from. Okay, Over the Top does it's a lot like Fast and Furious. It shows us a part of the world that we may not have access to. And I do feel like it's successful in that, but it's also has one of the best airbrush movie posters of all time, with the ripped arm and the truck, the sparkling airbrush truck in the background.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean,
was the truck the prize?
Yeah,
or something?
Yeah, because he needed the truck for his jobs.
That's right.
So yeah,
I guess there is no
but then,
super blue collar, like there is no truck culture. I never knew they would sleep in their back. Like, why would I think that?
Yeah,
why would I know?
That's what I mean. Like, but the movie has a weak villain. The kid's stepfather's like, I will buy you that truck if you give me custody for the kid. And Stallone's like, hate my blood. Like, you know, like you just have these like one-line responses. It's the best. But no, I think it's again, if we were to take these movies out of context, meaning that what other, like, here's the crazy thing too. What other, like, it I know this is bizarre. This is a Dream Warriors take. What other arm wrestling movie would you compare over the top two? There's only one arm wrestling movie.
Right.
There's only one.
And done.
Yeah, it's
one and done.
There's I think Benny the Bear, which is a documentary.
Okay.
And that's it. Like we're done. We're done with the arm wrestling. So okay, so we have Cobra over the top. 1988 we have Rainbow 3. 89. Okay, so we have Rainbow 3. We have the ending.
We just watched a Rainbow 3 grilling session on Oprah.
We did. So now, post Cobra, the same year that Cobra comes out, leading into Rainbow 3, we have something magnificent. So we have again, to talk to thank you, Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan helped deregulate commercial markets and said we can advertise directly to children, but he set parameters. And some of those parameters was like, well, if we have like a program that sold something like a cartoon, that's legal. We can do that. So in 1986, we have Rainbow the cartoon, and the Freedom Force. Okay,
no, Rainbow's rated R, correct?
Full tour line, yeah, rated R.
So how on earth, like, I know this came out. I know it's a thing.
Full tour line. I will say this. I did watch a couple episodes of that because it's available on Amazon Prime. No, it might be available on Stars. I'm sorry.
I had to check YouTube.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's a little bit of a response to G.I. Joe. The design work, the story is there. It continues from episode to episode. It's almost like a through line. If you were to compete with G.I. Joe, it's no better. Like, you have Rainbow, you have the perfect property that's already associated, with military.
Right.
You have
patriotism.
You have the perfect superhero, real life superhero, Stallone, and they scaled up the action figures. They went 5.5 inches. G.I. Joe was 3 1/4. It's the perfect.
It's like Playmates.
It's the perfect competitor for that. It didn't catch on like a lot of stuff has. It didn't reach covering the 60 episodes that animation needed to go syndicated. It was one and done. But now we have 3 Rainbow movies. Now we have an animated series with a full-fledged. I think Remco did the toy line, but we have a full effort from a guy that has 0 education. Okay, now we have 4 Rocky movies. We have a full franchise that went to market, okay, on kids' shelves with a dude that people believe is a stuttering retard with a speech impediment. Like, it's amazing. This is the American story here. We're only in the mid 80s, and he's already, in my eyes, one of the greatest creative minds in the history of everything, and no one gives him credit. And he's on Oprah, and they want to talk about who he's banging. They want to, like,
and then he gets grilled by a mom,
the mother groups,
and he defended the product, which is amazingly.
He kills the people against violence.
He says you got to watch. There's a lesson, and you have to get to the end. And like he could have easily, we talked about this. He could have easily like turned it back around and go, well, why? Because this is for my 7-year-old. Like, why are you letting your 7-year-old watch this?
And he
doesn't do that.
Yeah, but
he does a little bit later.
Yeah, he kind of like indirectly says it, but at the same time, I think this is where the confusion came from, because at the time the cartoon series was see, this is where this is where context now is so important, because between Rainbow 2 and 3, which got more violent, more creative, because you got heightened the kills and the weapons used and everyone. We had
Didn't help that they picked that clip, which had no dialogue from Rambo 3, and they show. Well, again, why are you on Oprah? He's on Oprah because he's it's
pushing, promoting,
and it's top rated. You know what I mean? It's daytime. It's top rated,
and there's no bad publicity. I really feel like he's dude. This guy, quick skirt here. Sylvester Stallone is one of the only celebrities, even now, to defeat the #MeToo movement, because they came after him, and Stallone's like, "Don't bring me your garbage." It's like in Fight Club when he's like, he brings the guy the Ed Norton the Xerox, and he's like, "Did you leave this on the copier?" And he just crumbles it up, and he's like, "Don't bring me your garbage."
Right.
And he just threw away the Me Too movement like it was like nothing. Like it was, like it was garbage. And one of the only people to properly announce it and to address it, and I feel like he was able to do that because we even saw on today's Oprah. I can't believe we're talking about Oprah on DreamWorks.
It was on when you. I wasn't watching that clip, by the way.
You're like, Pete.
I walk in, I'm like, why are we watching?
But the thing is, though, it's but by this point, by 1988, okay, Stallone, people were fascinated with his physique and his tabloid life more than the content.
Right.
Which again, few people have survived that, like that type of onslaught. So. We're going to jump here. We're going to go to one of my favorite years. Another wonderful 1-2 combo. You ready? 1989. We have Lock Up. We have Tango and Cash.
Lock Up. The character's name is Frank Leone. So it was always the thing. My dad texted me. I was like, "We're doing Stallone this week." He's like, "Make sure you talk about Lock Up. That's our namesake."
That's
I'm like,
our namesake.
Well, I don't know. It's
Well, speaking of Bradley,
it's good.
It's
good.
Look, it's there was a fascination with action, like
all
action,
prison. He's
action
in 2 prison
movies.
films.
Yeah, he's in
the same year.
He's in
because they go to prison in Tango and Cash,
and they also do the A-Team. Let's make a supercar in Tango and Cash. Now, I love both of these movies. I literally love him and Kurt Russell. I think them as a pair is fantastic. I mean, like they could do another Tango.
Yeah, I'm
and
surprised
Cash now.
that never happened.
Yeah, because they're really well together. But 89, we kind of had this thing where, again, these are 2 movies he didn't write. He didn't write these movies. He just starred in them. But then we have this thing, and the Raven comes knocking on the door, and it's like, do you want to wrap it up? Do you want to wrap up the Rocky story? So now in 1990 we have Rocky 5. Now everyone likes to trash this movie. They would do things, but by this point in Stallone's mind, I will say this, and I'll let you jump in. By this point in Stallone's mind, it's like, wow, we've done like everything we could. Like he knew that going into it, but I have to make it different. I gotta make it different.
Right.
And in his attempt to make it different, we got Rocky 5.
Well, all right. In defense of Rocky 5 is and we write, me and you both write, and we both read storybooks. And how do you? What do you? So it always goes back to this. Well, we got so far away from the original character. How do we do it? We boil it down. What do? We take away his money.
Yeah.
We throw him back into South Philly.
Right.
So I understand
Make him
all
struggle.
the beats. Right.
Yeah.
And then now he can't connect with his son. And then but he's connecting with this other person who's not his son, and now his son's jealous, and he's losing his family. And
so far, so good. It sounds great.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
it sounds great.
And then I think what we have is all that stuff. I think worked. I think where the movie falls apart is what, as an audience, you want. You want some type of fight. We got to fight. It's a Rocky movie. We need conflict. We need physical conflict and resolution. Meaning, you don't negotiate. You fight. Not knocking it, because sometimes you do have. Sometimes you just got to fight. And then we have the street fight scene.
Yeah, and
which is really deflates the movie. I think it takes away from.
Here's the thing:
the rest of the
everything between Rocky 1 to 4 and 3 is the only one I think it skirts, and I start to think about having Hulk Hogan and Mr. T in that pulled me out of that film. I still don't like Rocky 3 for certain points because of those 2 things. So they literally have a caricature of a Don King character, right?
They do.
So,
which was, at the time, there was no one bigger than Don King.
But everyone knew Don King's a shithead. So like they knew that he is a crook, and they knew that he would exploit. So, and I
Right.
get it, and he is, and again, through all these films, he is putting in relevant things. He put in topical things like, well, wrestling's a thing. We're not going to ignore that. Here it is. Hey, this is a thing. Promotion and pulling away and values. And so, again, on paper, it should all work. Now, maybe it was bringing back the first director. I don't know where the disconnect happened.
There's because he said that we've done Rocky fighting in the ring too many times. I thought a street fight would be a good idea. Like, I really feel like that was. I almost feel like if we take out the physical fighting in that movie, and you can edit that movie down to be like this family, like maybe coming back, rising back up, like melodrama. We have something, but in no way would that ever be identified as a Rocky movie. And even if that movie came out, it would have failed.
Right.
Like there was no win for Rocky 5. I don't think they could have had another approach after Rocky 4, because Rocky 4 he literally defeats communism in Russia. And
himself.
He defeats an ideology that has slayed more human beings than any other ideology in the history of the known world. So he defeats communism. So I get it, but I remember like watching that movie, and even like when I was younger, and liking the struggle. Like I always was drawn to the struggle in Rocky 5 and the way how he's trying to rebuild himself and like Sage Stallone, his son's in the movie, like the kid himself is like going through pain and can't define things, and I just feel like
it was a good child. It was a good child actor. It could have been, again, that should not work. And he's good.
Yeah, I think he's good.
Rest in peace. He died.
Is he dead?
Yeah, he died before Creed. He had some drug problems. He was in out of rehab. I think it was. I don't remember exactly. I think it was pills. Yeah.
That's upsetting.
Yeah.
Way to. Well, you want to get more upsetting? Because 1991 and 1992, we have two.
Get more upsetting.
We have Oscar and Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Now,
two movies he's not involved. We have to say this: 2 movies he's not involved with the writing.
Okay.
Not involved with the writing.
So it's a paycheck. Their paycheck.
It's something, I guess. Right? Because I like Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. I think that's like Throw Mama from the Train.
I think they're both
like that's a pair.
Out of my brain. I think they're both like I know I've seen both of them.
Yeah, I
remember, was this his daughter? He's playing like it was his daughter who was hot or something, and he's trying to make sure people stop trying to bang her all the time.
Right, yeah.
Like the whole movie, he's like, "Please stop banging my daughter." Like the whole movie, I can't do it.
Yeah, so I would love to re-explore like Oscar, like because we said this going in. I said we're going to leave this Oscar. Like so far. I want to watch Rhinestone and I want to watch Oscar. Like those are 2 movies I'll probably watch this coming week. Okay, now and then we have, I think, his best 1-2 combo. Cliffhanger, where that he wrote. He grabbed that script, rewrote that script. He said he finished that script like 2 or 3 days before they began shooting,
and he finished it on hanging from one arm, talking into a tape
recorder.
Jacked. He's probably the most. What is his physical peak? I think that's pretty insane.
I remember seeing that in the theater, thinking like
it was nerve-wracking in the theater.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but I remember seeing his like muscles and being like, yo, what is up with this guy?
Superhuman.
Yeah, because I remembered him in like Rocky, in Rainbow 3. Like I always remembered his back in that movie. Like his back was incredible, but in this one, it's almost like he's responding to critics that were obsessed with him using body doubles, and he's almost like, you will see this, like you will see me do things now.
Right.
That's not boxing, so you can't
pre Tom Cruise.
You can't anticipate like the shot cuts, like and again introducing something new. Because I remember watching Cliffhanger for the first time, being like, wow, people do this, like people. Like, oh wow, people arm wrestle, or like wow, people like, or this is how a boxer trains.
Cliffhanger culture.
Yeah, like I had no idea. Or is this how a San Francisco cop fights the Cobra? Like these are all these things I didn't know about. But no, but Cliffhanger 2 went in an area where like went right into movies like Vertical Limit, like. Cliffhanger's success tried to recreate. They went dramas with K2. The great drama where like those guys died on like that trying to reach that summit, but so like there was like almost like a genre of a movie that came out of Cliffhanger, which was the high altitude. The ending for Cliffhanger is still the absolute best, which is when he has the bag of money and he throws it into the propeller. He throws it up into the helicopter.
Yeah.
It's the best. It's the ultimate
so
F you. It's the absolute best. And then we have a movie that I'm so happy has caught on, right? Like Demolition Man.
Yeah, it was not a success in the theater though, right?
No, Demolition Man. Like we can let's just drill into Cliffhanger. I remember being huge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now everyone's pitch in Demolition Man, everyone is like pitch perfect.
Yeah. So here's the funny thing, Demolition Man potentially was up to 80 to 100 million.
Cost.
Yeah.
That's a lot for that time.
And it looks it. I think it looks it. Box office 160, so it's nominal.
Yeah.
But it's still. I mean, they had the full toy line for that. They had real advertising. They spent a lot of money. I remember like gearing up for that movie where it was like they were actually pumping up Dennis Leary. Like Dennis Leary's career started.
Oh, that's right.
He had a stand up. And he was in that.
He was
like
on MTV all the time.
It's like, and Sandra Bullock was still and Roy Schneider. Like they had these people in Demolition Man that were like you knew were going to be like the next big thing.
Rob Schneider, not the.
Rob Schneider, not
Roy Schneider.
I was just watching Home Alone 2 last night. Like so, he's in my head. I also watched Home Alone 2 for the Donald Trump cameo. Donald Trump. But anyway, but no, Demolition Man has completely. Like it's almost like the end of the action movie era, almost like 93.
It started making fun of it then. It was meta then. They were like, out of the restaurant wars, Taco Bell won. So let's go to Taco Bell. Which they did
this year because this was the year that they won.
That's right.
They did the actual Demolition Man Taco Bell this year. Amazing. So Demolition Man with Wesley Snipes, one of the weirdest plots. Like the plot is, they get cryogenically frozen. Why does he get frozen? Oh, he gets frozen because he gets like framed, right? Like he gets frozen. Wesley Snipes gets frozen because he captures Wesley Snipes in the first scene of the movie. So Wesley Snipes gets cryogenically frozen, and then later
the new jail.
Yeah, and then later. Stallone gets cryogenically frozen unjustly, but then the evil guys in the future thaw out Wesley Snipes in this like utopian future, but Wesley Snipes
on the opposite of a dystopian future.
Yeah. And Wesley Snipes is from the 90s, and they don't curse and like what's your boggle. There's so many good lines in that movie, and then they have to thaw out his arch nemesis.
It's the only one that can take him down. It's the only one that would have the brains to take him down. Now, did Stallone write this?
Stallone did not. No, this is a strict studio movie. Let's get into, because Demolition Man. Look, Rennie Harlin directed Cliffhanger. Did Rennie Harlin direct Dream Warriors of Nightmare on Elm Street? Was he Dream Warriors?
Or that was Frank Marshall.
Was that Frank?
I want to say it's Frank Marshall.
Okay, but Rennie Harlin has original director for Alien 3. He was. This was like the peak when Rennie Harlin was a guy later married Gina Davis, derailed his career
Cutthroat Island.
on Cutthroat Island. See, look, this is why we do Dream Warriors. Mark completes my sentences. Okay,
here we go.
Okay,
Matthew Modine. Not a leading man at that time. We're like, we can do this.
Screenplay is just look. We have 5 guys between story and screenplay for Demolition Man.
5 guys burgers.
We Marco Brambilla, the director. He did 3 movies: Demolition Man, Excess Baggage, and that's it.
What's that? Oh, Excess Baggage is that Mina Savari?
No, Batgirl's in that. What's her name?
Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah, Alicia Silverstone.
Blonde.
Yeah,
and they throw her in a trunk.
Yeah, and
Benicio del Toro.
Obi-Wan Kenobi is that, no, or is that what's the one Obi-Wan Kenobi's in with
Life Less Ordinary?
That's a good movie.
Danny Boyle.
That's a good movie.
But that is also frowned upon because it came out off of
not Trainspotting.
It was after Trainspotting. It was Danny Boyle after Trainspotting, and then The Beach.
Then The Beach has resonated with me. The more I remember hating, like maybe not understanding that, but the more I watch it, I get it. Like I get that movie seeking.
That was a studio thing where they pushed Leo into that, and it was supposed to be Ian McGregor, and that would also ruin their friendship. But that's bad.
I know, but no, no, that was good. So all right, so 1993.
So Demolition Man, and what did the shelves were the bathroom, right? There was a toilet paper. You had 3 shelves.
Yeah. And I guess they blew water up your thing to clean it out. It's just like a duvet, like a Japanese duvet.
I know, but it's so funny. But that's like what I remember from that. I remember, and then you would think, so the pairing of Rob Schneider and Stallone
would carry into his defeat.
You think this is...
I think this is the beginning of the defeat. I would even say the next year we had the Specialist with
right. That's the Sharon Stone training.
Yeah, but that was like the Sharon Stone pop. Everything she was in made money. Even like Slither made money with her, and the 5th Baldwin brother, like Jerry Baldwin. Jerry Baldwin's in that movie in a sex
was just
thriller.
A stunt double.
Yeah, right. But look, the Specialist made money though. So Hollywood says we can keep going. So Judge Dredd, the origin of Judge Dredd for this version, actually comes out of RoboCop. So these guys, the guys that were behind this Judge Dredd movie, were the original crew that was making RoboCop. But back when RoboCop came out, it was Judge Dredd, and the production splintered, and another set of producers took the idea of Judge Dredd, like these ideas that they developed, like the helmet like not being removed, that sort of thing, and brought it to RoboCop and beat them to market. Okay? And then they couldn't get funding for Judge Dredd because it was for whatever reason viewed as similar or too similar to RoboCop.
Right.
Now at this point, talking about rated R movies going mainstream, RoboCop 2 also developed a full toy line, animated series.
So crazy.
Actually, of all of those similar properties, the longest running comic book, like Marvel comic
it was
book
like
had
40 or 50. It's a lot.
It had like a legit run with Marvel Comics. The other ones would only last, like some of the major toy lines of the 80s only lasted 5 or 6 issues at Star Comics. Yeah. The best RoboCop toy, side note, the glow-in-the-dark one. Boss! The absolute best one. But no. So RoboCop destroyed the idea of a Judge Dredd movie until Stallone and time passed, and it was like, now we can do this. So that crew spent about like 10-15 years working RoboCop through all the studios to get the right combination. So Judge Dredd happens. Now we have the full mid-90s support. We have a revival with AC, like AD. I'm sorry. What were Judge Dredd? AD Comics, right? What was the
2000 AD?
2000 AD kind of comes. I remember being able to get those in the comic shop.
Rebellion, I think, was the publisher.
Yeah, I remember being able to get those for the first time in comic shops around that time, because 2000 you will always hear about those in interviews, because that's where all your British writers came from for Vertigo. So if Judge Dredd did one thing, it made some of the British comic books more available in American comic shops. But we also had the full-fledged action figure line. We actually had statues. Mattel actually did direct-to-market through KB Judge Dredd statue that was only available in KB, and they also did Mark Silvestri's Cyberforce. They did 2 Cyberforce statues and 1 Judge Dredd statue. That these things were huge.
Did Ripclaw?
No, it was actually Stryker and the girl Ballistic.
How did Stryker even stand up? He had 3 arms.
It was actually the first statue. They had a super heavy base, and he was screwed in from the bottom. Okay, but he wasn't polystone. Like, he was a lighter material, but that statue is one of all time, like, for that era, one of the best statues. I believe it was sculpted by Claiborne Moore. Getting too meta there. Look up Claiborne. For now on, when Mark ever sits down in Dream Warriors, grab a notepad.
Right.
Or just be ready with something on your phone.
Things. Look up Stryker, Stryker, Cyberforce Stryker. And how is he standing up? He has 3 metal arms. He's Cable with extra arms.
Yeah. He literally looks just like Cable. Same with the side.
Right.
Metallic.
It's Terminator
with the
and Cable.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to test Mark real quick.
Okay.
Stryker from Cyberforce had his own
codename Strikeforce.
Yeah. No, that's
Brandon
not.
Peterson.
That's not the question.
Oh, well, that is an answer.
Name me the members of Codename Strike Force,
I don't
son.
know.
Can you name any?
No, I don't think so.
Black Anvil, Bloodbow, Tempest, and Striker. I'm pretty sure there was only
I think
4.
that's right.
I don't know if there was a 5th, but but anyway, okay.
Terrible.
Okay, so we get the specialist. We get Judge Dredd. Judge Dredd. I love the design work and the look of this, because here's a little bit of like my theory. Between Judge Dredd and Fifth Element, the visuals that were like kind of like used in those movies, like the flow, the
A lot of the same coloring. Before it's color grading before color grading, sort of. They had like a certain everything was golds.
yeah.
A lot of golds and reds.
The city highways, like the hover cars, this constant activity in the city, I wholeheartedly believe led right into Star Wars episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Where there's too many things going on.
Yeah, it was. I think this was a
Coruscant
precursor.
is just
It's like, wow, how does anything
Yeah.
get done here? Like anything.
everything's everyone's traveling to somewhere.
But look, I back Judge Dredd for one reason alone.
Rob Schneider.
I love the music. The music's incredible in Judge Dredd, and
The score?
yeah, the score.
I have no idea.
Yeah. See, how you're not like it has one of the best opening superhero themes like ever. Like just even like the
I think
the
even
Judge Dredd
at,
theme.
What year was this?
95.
So at that time, I was I working at Legends yet? Yeah, I had to have been.
I don't know.
I was
yeah.
against him taking the helmet off. I was against.
Yeah, the purist.
Yeah.
I know. Look, I get it.
But Warner Brothers bought this. What was interesting and kind of the connection with this is, for me, comic book wise, is that I think it's Judge Dredd number 3 published by DC Comics. It's the only Judge Dredd book that I think is easy to read because it's an American comic book. Judge Dredd's difficult to read.
I think
if you say you
it's
can, you're lying.
I always thought it was overrated. I had some of those 2000 ADs.
It's just a different sensibility. There's nothing wrong with it. I didn't grow up reading that. I grew up reading Stan Lee and American comics.
But IDW has the black and white reprints that are artwork wise amazing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, a lot of good people came out of it.
Yeah.
Square, Brian Bolland, but I just can't. Cam Kennedy, Steve Dillon.
Yeah.
Like, so I understand who came out of it and did things later.
Yeah, I think you get a lot of bang for your buck.
Now, I wrote one of the first persons, and actually I think he influences me even now, is Mike Avon Oeming drew that book. And I wrote about his artwork. Nothing with the story.
Somewhat local guy, right?
Yeah.
He was from Red Bank.
Bordentown. I think Bordentown.
Yeah.
So he, but I wrote like
New Jersey shout out.
I have 2 printed letters. I have one in Spawn 24.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, you did tell me this.
And
yeah.
my full address is in. That's when they print your full address. I thought that was interesting. I was like, what if someone comes up-
because that's because people could write to you and respond to what they printed.
Right.
Like it was correspondence.
It's interesting.
It is.
But that's how like a lot of writers would have
Spawn
their
24
complete.
that's a non-McFarlane drawn issue.
Yeah, that's a
one that-
Capullo.
Yeah. You trash. You can't even get published in the
I
top
wrote it, and what's funny?
Spawn issue.
And I
You
may have
piece of
caused
garbage.
a lawsuit because I talk about the whole letter in Spawn is about how everyone is someone else. That like Terry Fitzgerald is a business manager,
right.
and then the Tony Twist is this hockey player, and the hockey player sued him. Everybody knew that.
But the thing is that McFarlane would openly talk about that.
Right.
He talked about it for years and years, to where
they sued
later
him.
even Al Williamson sued him. His best friend that it was all based on ended up suing
Al
him.
Simmons?
Al Simmons, yeah.
Yeah.
Not Al Williamson, not the inker.
So meta. We're in it.
Okay, so yeah.
So my connection to that. But I think even then, I think at that time, I was like, I don't want him to take. I rejected the concept because he took his helmet off. I didn't see it in the theaters. I saw it on video. I didn't go see it.
I love the music for that movie. I love the design work. I think at one time we're going back for a Metropolis type the silent movie Metropolis, the Fritz Lang. I'm sorry, the Fritz Lang Metropolis. This was at one time the greatest futuristic big city sci-fi movie ever, and we've been spoiled from this point on. But dude, like some of the design work that I like in this movie is like the labels that like the labels and the signs. It's a fully realized universe. Like there's a graphic design element in Judge Dredd. Now we have a trope based plot. We have a comedic.
He fights himself at the end, basically.
Yeah, it's and then
Armand Sante.
Yeah, a clone of himself, and then we have
which is every Marvel movie for the first 6 or 7 Marvel movies, to be honest with you.
And then we also have a comic relief that doesn't work.
Rob Schneider.
Yeah, and then
from the start, from the first joke, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it really.
Right from the first 10 seconds of the film.
Well, that's when he is he's getting dropped off from prison, but then he's like, he sees the girls at the pool. He goes, "That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. Drop me off there." And you're like, wow. Like we're in bed.
We're doing it right away.
So Judge Dredd in '95 began Stallone's dark period. That we're going to go right into. We're going to skip a few movies, but I'm just going to go through them. Okay, we have Assassins, also in '95. So we have a bad 1-2 punch in '95. Judge Dredd and Assassins. Super big budget, modest budget, and then we have the return at the time. In '97, which was heralded as Stallone's return to drama, which was Copland. Now, Copland was kind of off of this wave from like almost like Goodfellas. Like it was just
you could say
Miramax, Oscar-driven, Oscar-created.
I think it's almost like the Travolta Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
you could be relevant again.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we have The Good Life. Are you familiar with that movie?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I is this one I'm going to have to watch? I don't even know what this is. Here we go. The Good Life is a 1997 American film starring Frank Stallone. The film is about 3 men from New Jersey to Miami. 2 of them end up killing the third because of numerous production problems. The film school was moved from Miami to... I don't know what this is. This is a movie, though. Andrew Dice Clay as Albert. Dennis Hopper as Mr. B.
Are we sure that Stallone's involved with this, or is it Frank Stallone?
Sylvester Stallone had a cameo as a boss, so he's. But
not a real movie.
But we do have to watch this movie now
because of Frank Stallone. Special deep dive on
just
Frank
the plot
Stallone.
Alone. I don't even understand the movie from the plot byline.
No, I think I'm out.
You're out of that one. Okay, and then moving on, we have. I'm sorry, I did skip a movie. We have 1996 Daylight, which was part of the disaster movie craze created, kind of by Independence Day.
That's all studios and response.
Daylight is a solid movie, 100% solid movie, worth watching. Copland, worth watching. And then we have 1998, DreamWorks' first animated movie, Ants, or second. I think it was Prince of Egypt first, and then Ants. And then we have the return to lower budget movies with Get Carter, which is a fine, like, hunting down my daughter revenge type movie.
Movies.
Yeah.
By myself.
Nice. By myself. And then, look, we have a reunion with his cliffhanger buddy, Rennie Harlan. We have Driven. Which, at the time, I remember pioneered the fisheye driving lens. It was like this hyper way of like displaying how quick it is to be in the Formula One racer, and they had a name for it. It was like fisheye speed or something. But the movie pioneered a CGI technique. I like Driven, just because it's a little bit ridiculous. It's a little bit Rocky 5. You have like the old vet and the newer rookie kind of competing for jobs, and then we have like almost like I guess the third in this lower budgeted crime trilogy. We had Copland, Get Carter, and then we have 2002 Avenging Angelo. They're all 3 of them. It's a good block. They're good movies.
I've never seen them.
It's him.
I've never seen Avenging Angelo. I don't know.
Yeah, and then 2003. So this is why we call this a dark period. 2003 Spy Kids 3D. We skip ahead 3 years, and we have now the return. We have Rocky Balboa. And then in 2008 we have Rainbow, and I love both of those movies. I think he knew what to do perfectly, and now we're into the 5th Rainbow movie now is being made. He's going to be in Mexico fighting the cartel, which is perfect and topical. And then in 2010 we have the creation of yet another franchise.
Yeah.
The Expendables, which can go on forever. Like, it's a little bit of a low period, but the Expendables franchise will come back. Like, to some capacity.
They made a ton of money. Everyone was up for it.
And
what was interesting with
movies.
I think that was the start of, like, I'm going to cast through social media. Like, I'm going to kind of mess with people, and I'm going to cast them.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember people were crying for Wesley Snipes in the first one. And they got him. Then they got Schwarzenegger, then they got Harrison Ford, then they got Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Like, and then there's I think a motocross professional in the third one. I
never saw the third one. I saw the first one.
Yeah, but two Expendables 1 and 2. 2, Jean-Claude Van Damme's the villain, and he is like Jean-Claude Van Damme has as good of a body than like anyone. Like, he has such a good body, but he's great in Expendables 2. And then we have these other movies. We have Bullet to the Head, Escape Plan, which is now like a direct franchise because they did a second one and then the third one's coming. Yeah. So now in his later years, he created 2 movies that are boundless sequels, like, are coming. Like, I think Escape is always going. We're going to have a new one of those movies at least every other year.
Right.
Same like the Wrong Turn trilogy or like the Wrong Turn films, but I think it's Wrong Turn like 6 we're up to, which is amazing. But and then I guess like the final countdown, like the crescendo is Creed. Mm-hmm. Like, now we have a 6th Rocky movie, 7th one coming. Well, in a couple of days.
I mean, they kind of married the two.
Yeah.
Rocky Balboa essentially is, I think Creed. Creed, yes, it succeeds, but it's basically like a straight up spiritual sequel.
It is
to Rocky Balboa.
I think it's the Tron Legacy, the Force Awakens, the Creed, like a proper sequel, reboot, something like
reboot, cool.
or to reintroduce, because here's a little bit even of my argument, but like Force Awakens, like, you can say what it is. It's like a rehash of like New Hope. I perfectly respond and accept that, but how many times can a newer audience find New Hope because it eventually looks old? The people in it don't look appealing. We need newer bodies. We need people that look like they're from today in some of these movies and stories. I think Creed is that for Rocky.
Right.
I think Force Awakens is that for New Hope, and I think even Tron was like that for Tron. Like, Tron Legacy was like that for Tron. I think that's when it's successful. I even go as far as saying that the Michael Bay produced Friday the 13th is like that for Friday the 13th. No. People just hated that for whatever reason. But we also have Homefront with Jason Statham and
James this is Franco, weird. I didn't realize this until today.
Yeah, written and directed. We have to watch this because I haven't seen it.
I've never seen it. But, I don't know. It's interesting.
But we have to watch it. And then like, to end it, I mean, he wins some gold for Creed, right?
He gets a Golden Globe. Yeah, he's not. I found it fascinating. I figured he would have won something.
Yeah, I still think that's an accomplishment, though. I really do.
Well, he won Best Supporting Actor, so he didn't win for writing.
Right. But
he didn't write Creed, which was interesting because
they came to him with that idea,
right?
And he like signed up, and again, like, having vision, knowing when something's
but
good.
then I thought to go back to Rocky Balboa for a minute, that is such a film school movie. Like, that is such a, like, again, like, it's just certainly it's set up perfectly. Yeah. But what I and I didn't even think of this until I started looking around today. Do you have any idea how many like memes there are of like that speech of him with his son?
Yes, yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
and
it's taken on the Any Given Sunday,
the Pacino speech.
The Pacino speech. Yeah, it's this motivational thing now.
Yeah, and there's like videos of compilations of Rocky films and every little thing, because he does do something almost in every film where he has some type of thing.
Yeah.
So
and now.
There's a whole like subgenre of YouTube of that.
Yeah.
Which I was unaware of. Which I was unaware of, but now I'm like completely aware of.
But then again, too, it's like Rocky Balboa, which I love the original title. The original title for that was going to be called Balboa for Rocky, right?
Wow.
Like, and I thought that was like perfect because you have Rocky then Balboa, like the
right.
bookends.
It's the bookends. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have worked. Yeah.
But that movie now is his comeback. He is the character. Like once again, he has merged with the character. Like
completely.
Because he had such a lull period where no one really cared what movies he was in, what he was doing. And Rocky echoed him in 76, and now in 2006 he's back. Like I'm telling you, it's weird. Like but it's also kind of magical.
Right.
Like it's this thing, and him taking advantage of it.
That's the best. That's his best script, I think, hands down. I think there's all the little speeches
awesome.
he has.
Yeah.
I think that like the stuff in the basement scene.
Dude,
there's so much anguish in him. He gets emotional like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Like it really messes me up.
I
that
love
movie.
to how they pass time without like Adrian's dead. Like you know, like the world has moved on without him, and it's not like heavy. Like you see it, you feel it.
Yeah.
I just like the idea that he's not down and out. Like he is running a restaurant. Like he's a capable character.
Right.
Like he's definitely intelligent. And by the way, we have a giant girl party happening outside our doors here. So we apologize for anything that the mics could be picking up.
Yeah, but I think even the Paulie character is sympathetic, and like I watched the deleted scene. I told you about this, where I was just like bawling watching this like deleted scene of Paulie out like in a back hallway. Like he's like, I treated her like garbage. You treated her great, and like it extends out, and someone they carefully edited scenes from the other films in.
Yeah.
And it was like brutal. Like it just like punched you in the gut, like horrible.
I love it.
That's my favorite thing. And I almost think that like, so what was interesting, and I thought that would have been a failure, is that Coogler went to go do Black Panther.
Yeah.
Then they're like, Creed 2. I'm like, no, wait, no. Like, I don't want anyone on this except for Coogler. I don't want.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, Stallone's coming back to write it. I'm like, no. Like, I was almost like, no. Like, just don't exploit. It's someone else's. I feel like it's someone else's franchise at this point.
Yeah.
But it's not really.
No, it's
and from the early buzz of Creed 2, it's great. Like, it's supposed to be great.
yeah.
So,
But the thing is, though, what they're doing with Creed 2 is exactly what you wanted. You wanted the rematch from Rocky 4.
it's going to be like another closure.
I'm like, what is even happening with this? Like, it's amazing that they even knew to go there, and Dolph, look, I get it, but Dolph Lundgren, I'm sure he can do other things. Like, he doesn't
He
have
can do some chemistry.
Yeah, dude, I'm sure he's. I don't think that dude is like To me, Dolph Lundgren is so well like together, just as like a person. That it's like it's almost.
He
like,
looks really good in it, though.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and it's almost like wow, you get it, like you got everyone you needed to tell this story. That, like, again, what's another franchise today that they could continue to do something similar? Like, that's what I mean. Like, that's where Creed 2 becomes so unique, because like even if it fails or whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, the attempt is there. What other franchise can they do anything like this with? And you can't.
The Scorpion King? You mean the Scorpion King sequels didn't do this? Oh, okay, that's right. It
Right,
didn't.
the Scorpion
You're right.
King. But yeah, so look, upcoming we have Creed 2, we have Rainbow 5, Last Blood, awesome title.
Last Blood. Okay. First Blood, Last
Right,
Blood.
it's Rocky Balboa.
And again, he's going
It's like-
topical.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so. So we got to go over favorites.
yeah. So
And then themes, favorites and themes.
favorites and themes, and then I'm gonna go. We're going to end it with a box office prism. I'm going to lay down like where this guy is box office wise. Okay, and I think it'll make everyone look at Stallone the way we see him. Like,
Right,
this is just a way for us to prove our point. Okay, favorites. Let's do you go.
Yeah, just straight up the script and the writing in Balboa, Rocky Balboa is insane. I think from it's just so deft, and it's, he brings back Lil Marie, just like things that shouldn't work, even him walking her up and then talking to her his kid, and like it's awkward, and there's just so many things that are going on in that, and that's why that's hands down my favorite.
Well,
And I thought about this too. I saw that by myself, and I realized the little speeches in there were certain things that I wanted to do. And this is back in 2006.
Nice.
And I was like, yeah, I think that I should be working on other things. It was very inspiring. I should be
like for example.
Well, he says like the stuff in the basement.
Yeah, but I mean,
You know.
for you, what you have to work on. We even if you haven't heard the speeches, we can imagine what the speeches are like. But what did they do to Mark Leone?
Well, I
What did they
think
do
that.
to you? Did they?
Well, I think
Did it
I was
make
in
you
like the
hard?
doldrums
Did
of.
it get your boner going?
No, I just think I was in the doldrums of like trying to work a million different jobs and not really exactly having a career, but not doing anything creative at all, like zero.
So I hope you
So
maybe find a little bit more of who you were.
Oh, and I shouldn't be married to that girl. I think that was in there too.
Well,
Whoopsie.
Kind of went through that too. Okay, so my favorites were like pairings, were like just back to back movies that I felt like were similar, and one of them would be definitely Lock Up, and always watch Lock Up. But if you can watch Lock Up with Jean-Claude Van Damme's Lionheart, and you almost get it's the same movie.
It's the same movie.
It's the same movie with two different jack dudes, and then Driven, which I said I'm a fan of. But if you can watch that with Ron Howard's Rush,
Right.
Driven
Yep.
and Rush kind of like are very well paired. Not Driven and Days of Thunder, because Days of Thunder really isn't around the driving, but Driven is, and Rush are like strictly driving movies. And look, I will always say it because it's so ridiculous. Tango and Cash. The chemistry alone, I absolutely love. Themes. Let's jump to themes real quick. Prison themes.
Prison.
We have
Underdogs.
prison themes. We have Lock Up, Tango and Cash, Escape Plane.
Right.
Okay.
And then a million Escape Plan sequels.
Yeah. And then we have like competing. So we have like Paradise Alley, Rocky, Grudge Match. Okay?
Oh yeah,
like
with De Niro.
He's like competing and fighting against something.
I fell asleep watching. I don't know.
He does repeat themes. Some people like I never seen it, but a lot of people are like all for.
It's just pleasing.
Grudge
I think the
Match,
thing is,
yeah.
I think it's just like, hey, look, we like these guys.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like there's a certain amount of goodwill that comes with that. You're like, hey, I never saw these guys together. They're together. There we go. And 2 hours later, it's fine.
So let's do this.
It's not offensive.
Let's talk box office. Ready? Adjusted. We'll do Rocky 1 through 6, Creed 1 and 2. Okay, we all know the fate of Creed 1 and 2, but 8 movies. The Rocky adjust like with inflation. If we, by
Rocky
today,
was 223 million.
by today's standards, it's 500 million. That's how much that movie would make today.
$500 million.
Okay.
Domestic.
Now with inflation combined, the entire franchise, 1.8 billion, averaging 288 million per film.
Okay.
Without Creed 2. Creed 2 will only add to that. Rainbow, 1 through 4, 5 in production, with inflation, 400 million. First Blood, combined 700 million, average 176 million.
Okay.
Expendables.
That's a B plus.
Yeah, Expendables. We are going to just go worldwide because by the time Expendables came out, it's a different market. Worldwide is a part of it. Combined 3 movies, 800 million, average 268
That's
million.
stupid. That's so stupid.
Okay, Escape. We'll just go to Escape Plane. We don't care. But he wrote one movie. Finally, was in the movie with him and Schwarzenegger. Right. Fantasy movie. And we got the third one being made. Comes out next year. The third one. So, in his later years, he created the Expendables and the Escape Plane franchises. Now, let's just say combined box office. If you have Tom Cruise, The Rock, Schwarzenegger, and Stallone, how would you order who made the most?
Well, I mean, Stallone's on the brain because that we've just talked about him for hours. Wait, okay, what was it? Here, let me write it down.
Yeah.
All right.
Stallone, Arnold, Cruise, The Rock. Your four biggest guys. Rock is still going, so right like that.
Yeah, I put Rock 4. Cruise. Jeez. All right, I'm gonna go Stallone, Cruise, Arnold, Rock.
Stallone, Cruise, Arnold, Rock. You're off.
Okay.
Tom Cruise, 6.8 billion. Stallone, 4.4 billion. Then we have Arnold and The Rock pretty much tied, 3.8 billion.
Oh wow.
amazing. So it goes to show you how amazingly successful Cruise is, but they don't put like Stallone in Cruise's category.
Mm-hmm.
But Stallone, like, you know, like, I don't know. But Tom Cruise also has the largest average, 168 million per movie. Like Stallone has 18 million, which is the lowest average of all four.
Mm-hmm.
So his movies are averaging less, but combined they're more. So that's it. So I think Mark and I have spoken and gushed over Sylvester Stallone for 2 straight hours.
Yeah.
But what are your feelings, right? I think we did a wonderful job in illustrating this guy's career and why he deserves adulation. But hey, Dream Warriors signing off.
Yeah.
Peace out.
It's a big one.
We love you. That's what she said.
We love Stallone.
Rock and roll. Until next one. Do
Stallion.
we want to set up our next guy?
No, because I have like 4. I don't know. No,
Because we have to.
There's too many
We have to
ideas.
discuss it. Yeah.
Well, we don't want to do something similar. I think we need to go a different direction.
Well, we can go into comics. We can go into anything else, even music, if we want to. Okay, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you later.